Hi, welcome to Apex Tai Chi. This is Dr. Jia. This week, I will talk about how whole foods, transformation, and Tai Chi help the body turn nourishment into steadiness, vitality, and mental clarity. Food is not only something we eat. It is something the body must receive, soften, transform, absorb, and gradually turn into life. A meal does not end in the mouth. Once food enters the body, a quieter process begins. The stomach receives, the middle body warms, the breath changes. The body begins to draw out what can nourish us, move what can be used, and release what is too heavy to remain. Long before we speak of energy, mood, or mental clarity, the body is already doing the ancient work of transformation. In modern well-being, we often describe food through nutrients: protein, fiber, vitamins, minerals, calories, and blood sugar. This matters deeply. The body needs real substance. But in Chinese well-being traditions, food is also understood through its quality, its direction, and the way it behaves once it has entered the body. Some food feels fresh, light, and easy to receive. Some feels heavy, cold, greasy, dulling, or difficult to transform. Some meals leave the body feel steady and quietly nourished. Others seem to fill the stomach while leaving the whole system restless, foggy, or overloaded. This is not only a question of taste. It is a question of what happens afterwards. This is what I mean when I speak about the qi of food. I do not mean something abstract, magical, or separate from the body. I mean the living quality a food carries and the way the body responds to it after it has been taken in. Freshness, warmth, moisture, texture, simplicity, seasonality, and digestibility all shape how the body receives nourishment. In this sense, food has a direction. It can support clarity, steadiness, and warmth, or it can leave the body feeling burdened and unclear. Whole foods are valuable because they can remain closer to their natural form. They still carry color, texture, moisture, freshness, and integrity. The body often recognizes them more easily. They do not simply fill us. They offer the body something it can work with, something it can transform slowly and steadily into usable life. In Chinese thought, this process is close to the idea of 运化, often translated as transformation and transportation. The English translation is useful, but it does not fully carry the bodily intelligence of the original term. 运化 is not only digestion in the narrow sense. It is the body's ability to receive food, break it down, draw out its essence, transform that essence into qi and blood, and move that nourishment clearly through the system. Food enters the body. The stomach receives it. The spleen system transforms it. The clear essence rises. The heavier waste descends. What can nourish becomes qi, blood, warmth, strength, and steadiness. What cannot be used must be released. This is the quiet intelligence of the body. To take in, to transform, to distribute, to let go. When this process is supported, food does not remain in the body as heaviness. It becomes warmth in the center, strength in the limbs, softness in the breath, brightness in the eyes, and steadiness in the mind. Nourishment becomes more than fuel. It becomes an inner rhythm. This is why good nourishment is never only about choosing healthy ingredients. It is also about the condition of the body receiving them. A rushed body does not receive deeply. A tense body does not transform easily. A tired digestive system struggles to draw out nourishment clearly. If the body is held in stress, poor sleep, overstimulation, and constant speed, even good food may not fully become steady energy. So the deeper question is not only what we eat, it is whether the body is able to receive what we eat. Can it soften around the nourishment? Can it transform without strain? Can it move what is useful and release what is too heavy? Can food become clarity rather than dullness, steadiness rather than restlessness, life rather than load? From an Eastern perspective, food becomes qi when the body can transform it. Qi becomes vitality when it can move. Vitality becomes clarity when the body is not blocked, burdened, or scattered. This is where nourishment and Tai Chi begin to speak the same language. Tai Chi is not separate from the way we live. It teaches the body the same principle through movement, receiving, transforming, circulating, and returning to center. The body learns not to rush. The breath begins to descend. The spine softens. The center becomes warmer and more settled. Movement becomes to flow because the body is no longer fighting itself. Food gives the body substance. Qi gives the substance movement. Tai Chi gives Qi a pathway. When the middle body is supported, the mind often becomes clearer. Not because we force ourselves to think positively, but because the body is carrying less inner heaviness. The breath is no longer held high in the chest. The stomach is no longer overburdened. The nervous system is no longer constantly driven by stimulation, sugar, stress, and speed. A clearer mind does not always begin in the mind. Sometimes it begins in the stomach. Sometimes it begins in the breath. Sometimes it begins when the body is properly nourished, gently moved, and allowed to return to its own rhythm. This is the deeper meaning of moving from nourishment to flow. A healthier life rarely begins with punishment. It does not need to arrive as another strict plan, another impossible standard, or another reason to feel that the body has failed. More often, it begins in a quiet place. In the moment, we start to ask what the body is actually able to receive, what it can transform, and what helps it return to a clearer rhythm. Sometimes this begins with food that is closer to its natural form. Sometimes it begins with eating a little more slowly so the body has time to recognize what has arrived. It may be found in warm meals, simple ingredients, deeper rest, less rushing, or a few steady breaths before the day begins. It may also begin with movement that does not exhaust the body, but helps it remember how to flow. These daily choices may look small from the outside, but they shape the conditions through which health is quietly built. They influence whether the body feels burdened or supported, scattered or gathered, dull or clear. Over time, they become more than habits. They become a way of living with the body rather than constantly managing it from the outside. At Apex Tai Chi, this is the kind of well-being I care about. Not the performance of wellness and not a lifestyle polished for display, but a more intelligent relationship with the body, one that brings together nourishment, breath, movement, rhythm, and inner steadiness. When we eat with more awareness, move with more care, and give the body what it can actually transform, nourishment becomes more than food. It becomes warmth in the center, steadiness in the breath, strength in the limbs, and a clearer quality of presence in the mind. This week, the invitation is simple. Begin to notice what truly nourishes you. Not only what fills you or stimulates you, but what leaves your body quieter, clearer, warmer, and more able to meet life. This is where food begins to become qi. That is where nourishment begins to become flow. And that is where a healthier life starts to feel possible from the inside. This is Dr. Jia at Apex Tai Chi. If you want to explore more wisdom about food, get in touch. My information is below. Remain curious and be well.